It's Wednesday night.
The New York Theater Barn
is live!
I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Baby, is this love? I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Is this love?
Good evening and welcome to a snowy edition of New York Theater Barn's New Work Series Live. I'm Joe Barros and I'm the artistic director.
And I hate snow, and I'm Jen Sandler, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director. And tonight we are excited to present excerpts from the new musicals, Nothing to See Here and The Lesson.
Nothing to See Here is the new musical from Brian Blasky and Lori Hochman, and The Lesson is the new musical from Avi Amon, Defoe, and Nolan Doran.
Yeah, so welcome to the 36th. 36 is lucky for the Jewish religion, so this is an exciting broadcast. 36th installment of our virtual new work series. Since March, and with all of our virtual programming combined, we have presented 76 new musicals, lifted up the work of 127 writers, and honestly, at this point, over 400 artists, which is crazy. Wow. And as of tonight's broadcast, like every broadcast, we are partnering with Broadway On Demand. We've been partnering with them since about June, and we love our friends at Broadway On Demand.
That's right. We've been enjoying all of the different partnerships throughout this process, with especially with Broadway On Demand and also Broadway Records. Over the past year, a global pandemic and a systemic reckoning gave us the unique opportunity to empower artists, lift up culture-shifting stories, support our community, and make musical theater development the most accessible that it's ever been for both artists and audiences. New York Theater Barn views musical theater as thoughtful, introspective, healing art, and is dedicated to making space for artists to dream about how extraordinary the world can be. We've been working tirelessly towards a commitment to paying artists and staff members, and I'm proud to say that we now do on a regular basis. Thank you to our generous donors and our board of directors for making this a reality. And now here to tell us more about how you can support New York Theater Barn is one of our newest board members, Matt Redmond.
Hi, I'm Matt Redmond, and I am coming to you from my home in Morningside Heights in New York City. I am one of the newest members of the New York Theater Barn Board of Directors. I am a talent agent and the owner of DGRW Talent here in New York, where I fight passionately every day for actors in the theater and film and television industry. I'm so excited to have joined the New York Theater Barn Board of Directors. It's such a dynamic and exciting team. I am so proud to be a part of a creative team that makes space for all artists and new groundbreaking musicals in incubation. The New York Theater Barn family is so excited about tonight's original culture-shifting musicals, The Lesson and Nothing to See Here. The company is proud to lift up the work of Avi Amon, Brian Blasky, Defoe, Nolan Doran, and Lori Hochman. New York Theater Barn is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so your gift tonight is tax deductible. Thank you for supporting live theater and the development of original musicals. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Matt. We are in awe of the way you fight for artists every day, and we're honored to have you in our corner now.
That's right. Thank you so much, Matt. And making a gift tonight is easy and fun. Tonight, you can quickly donate by text.
Yes, that's true. The number you can use to donate is 631-710-NYTV, 631-710. The last 4 digits are 6982. It could not be any easier.
That's right. And you know what? Since it's just a moment like this, I'm definitely voting for Kelly Clarkson.
No, I'm voting for David Archuleta. I'm sorry. You're wrong.
Okay.
We
We said we weren't going to do that joke tonight, but we couldn't resist. Our most recent New Work series featured the new musicals Experience Marianas and Love and Hate Nation. Here's a clip from our presentation of Robert Kicke and Sarah Beth Viper's Experience Marianas. Take a look.
Well, Sarah Beth was in one of the original workshop productions of Lightning Thief.
Then I got cut from it, and Rob felt bad, so he asked me to come help him workshop a show we just heard songs from.
And I needed a good dramaturg, and honestly, she had such good insights and we both started talking a little bit about cults. We suddenly found ourselves wanting to create kind of our own version of what that might look like.
You know, you do start to see that there's there's one pattern that just repeats itself, and also kind of see those patterns in other aspects of society, from pulpits as large as the presidency, and
or as small as your Soul Cycle class.
Since you left, Dad's been drinking out of watering holes. Since you left, Dad's been thinking about damage control. Cause he won't let me say your name out loud. They just wanna know if you're safe. Are they treating you well? Are you happy and loved? Are you still alive?
it literally comes down to the meaning of life, right? Like, we all have to struggle with that question, and the thing that a cult gives you is the sort of pat, easily digestible answer to that question.
Finding your identity, you're trying to find who you are in your early, late teens, early 20s, and that's when somebody can offer you direction, guidance, whatever, and it can go awry if you don't have a strong foundation of self.
I was searching for answers. Then I met you. I was searching. I was hoping. Look what these answers made us do.
My God, last week was such a crazy, not last week, 2 weeks ago was such a crazy broadcast. And I feel like with all the events at the inauguration, it couldn't have been any better. And both of those shows just give me all the feels. I don't know about you.
Yeah, we were lucky. We had a lot of Love and Hate Nation on the day of the inauguration.
We did. And I mean, what perfect timing, because here's a clip from 2 weeks ago's presentation of Love and Hate Nation. Take a look.
Been this way since I was a girl in a dress with a frilly bow. Revolution in the institution. Revolution in the institution.
The quick version of the origin story is that I was commissioned by Penn State to write a musical for their senior class. And the senior class, I think, was like seven women and one dude. Many years before that, I had written this standalone song for an Iconism family show called I Was a Teenage Delinquent! ! Like this love song between two girls in a juvie hall for girls in the 60s. And when we performed it at the Beachman, I thought, oh, this song could be like something bigger. Like there's a musical here, I think. And
My mouth is dry, attention time. My heart and pulse are going boom, boom, boom. Shh. If she had a choice, I bet she'd use her voice to say the things that we must even say. Or is that all in my head? I put it out of my head. No, she doesn't know. She doesn't know. I wish I could tell her.
Honestly, an honor as a Black woman to be part of a show where I can have so many colors. I can be quirky, I can fall in love, I can be strong, I can be resilient, I can be weak. I feel like a lot of the times girls who look like me don't get stories like that to be able to tell.
And what happens is they create their own revolution, unaware that a revolution is happening outside the walls.
Oh, I just love that B-roll footage from Two River. And as we mentioned, Joe Iconis is the mayor of the island of misfit toys. And I just love misfits in action.
Ain't that the truth?
And lastly, before we begin, we're proud to highlight a beloved crown jewel of the theatrical industry, NYU's Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program.
And here to tell us more is faculty member and writer Mindy Dickstein.
Hi, my name is Mindy Dickstein. I am perhaps best known as the lyricist for Little Women. I've also written the lyrics for a musical based on the movie Benny and June, among other many musicals. But I am here tonight at the invitation of Joe Barros, who asked me to introduce the works that you're going to see tonight. The Lesson by Nolan, Doran, Avi Amon, and Defoe, and Nothing to See Here by Lori Hochman and Brian Blasky. The 5 writers all have something in common, which is that they are graduates of the NYU Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program, which they have in common with me. I'm also a graduate. I'm also on the faculty, and I had the great pleasure of teaching all 5 of these wonderful writers. So I am very pleased to say here they are, and I'm going to pass this back to you, Joe, and say what a wonderful thing this new work series is at New York Theater Barn. Thanks for having us all here. Bye.
Oh, I just love Mindy. That was just so beautiful. And we have Ty is backstage saying, love it, my heart. Mindy, crown jewel. Yes. Oh, Mindy. The
Joe Iconis is also an alum.
That's right. And you know what? I was saying the other day, I can't think of Christopher Columbus without thinking of Little Women. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. But if you know, you know.
You know. Now, let's get started with tonight's programming. Our first musical tonight is Nothing to See Here, which has book and music by Brian Blasky and book and lyrics by Lori Hochman.
In the summer of 1925, the struggling town of Dayton, Tennessee, hosted a trial that claimed national headlines and divided the country. The Scopes Monkey Trial, the first major anti-evolution court case. Nothing to See Here is the story of Frank Robinson, the man who built the trial as a publicity stunt to save his town, and May Robinson, his wife, who longs to save her family and her father's church from falling apart in a seemingly godless world. Of course, notorious reporter H.L. Mencken is there to spin their story and to uncover what the truth behind the trial really is.
Ooh, and now joining us from their homes here in New York City are the writers of Nothing to See Here, Brian Blasky and Lori Hochman.
Hello.
Hello. Hello to your monkey too.
Hello. This was our thesis show at NYU. So this was the mascot that was at every rehearsal and performance.
Yeah,
well, there's only
everywhere.
one performance. So
Well,
and I kept him.
So where are the 3 of you coming from?
I'm in Morningside Heights.
And I am in Astoria for about 4 more days. I'm moving to Hell's Kitchen this weekend.
Yes, new neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, enough monkey business. Let's get started.
I did
Brian,
the bit, so I'll put him away.
Okay. Brian, just in case you forgot, you're a composer and a music director. Your music has been performed both on both the East and West Coast. Your musical Assistance premiered off-Broadway, and the original LA production won 3rd place in NMI's Search for New Musicals. Your opera Outside, written with the amazing Seth Christenfeld, premiered at NYC's historic Stonewall Inn as part of World Pride in 2019. How amazing is that? Lori, you've been a published writer and member of BMI since you were 8 years old, and you grew up in northern New Jersey with Jen.
That's true.
And Phil Sloves.
Mm-hmm.
Your music and lyrics have been heard on Nickelodeon's The Wonder Pets, and you also wrote book, additional lyrics, and story for Perfect Life, which premiered at the Austin Theater Project. And I also remember something about you musicalizing the Pledge of Allegiance back in the day.
Yep. Yes.
Wait, I didn't know about that.
Many, many moons ago. It was the first piece I ever wrote.
And that's how you became a published writer at 8, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was right around 9/11. So
right, we're from
very
a town
popular.
where they really, really responded well, and we did a lot of things at that time.
Yeah.
So you've heard of the musicals 13 and 9. Well, there's Lori Hochman, 8 years old. And 8.5, of course, that's a movie. But anyway, enough monkey business. So Brian and Lori, when did you decide to collaborate together, and what inspired you to tell this untold story together?
So we met at NYU's Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program, as Mindy so lovingly introduced. And we wrote one assignment during the first year when everyone does kind of a round robin of all the lyricists work with all the composers on one project. And we worked on one, and it was like the easiest thing we'd written all semester. It was done in 2 nights?
Probably one. I think you wrote the lyric during the assignment that was given to us, and then handed it to me afterward. And we went into a rehearsal room. And was like, wait, like this?
That sounds right.
And then we were done.
And so when it came time to choose our thesis partners, we had to put together a whole document of everyone we wanted to work with. And I wrote like a page about why I thought I should work with Brian, and they felt we should work together also. And so we got to work together for a whole year. So we've been working together since 2017.
So do you rate who you want to work with? Is it like when you get your residency after medical school? Wow.
Oh yeah, it's
Big
intense.
time.
It's like you're spending a year working on a single project with someone. You want to really work out the compatibility kinks.
Yeah.
So she wrote a page on me. I just listed her name, and it all worked out.
Yeah. And so Nothing to See Here was actually our thesis musical that we've kept working on, and fortunately or unfortunately keeps getting more timely as we go.
By the way, we've had a few other NYU theses in our program. Dan Collins and Julianne McDavis wrote a show called Wood. That was actually a show we produced in the New York Musical Theater Festival back in the day in 2008. And also Danny Larson and Michelle Elliott wrote a show called The Yellow Wood, which went on to have an amazing life about a young boy who has ADD and discovers that he has the choice to take his medication if he wants.
All great, and now they're all still connected. Julianne's an instructor there. Danny teaches music, whatever the hell the thing is called, music tutorial. I forget now. It's been so long. Yeah. But everybody can't. Once you get in, you're not allowed to leave. You're like trapped at NYU.
So why this show? Why was this the show you wanted it to be your thesis?
So we started the process by doing a ton of research to figure out what we wanted to write about. We knew we wanted to write about something historical, and Brian found a website on famous trials.
Literally called famoustrials.com.
And so he found the Scopes monkey trial, and we started doing research. And what actually interested us at first was the pairing of William Jennings Bryan and Clarence Darrow, the two attorneys who had notorious careers each. Bryan being a failed presidential candidate, and Clarence Darrow just coming off the Leopold and Loeb trial. And so we initially structured the show as being like a love story for the two of them, as what could have been behind the scenes. And then the more research we did, we came across this whole conspiracy of how the trial was actually a publicity stunt put on by this business owner to essentially to build a tourism market to save the town's economy.
And it was just so ripe for adapting because the people involved with it were so dramatic in and of themselves. You've got these two nationally beloved or hated people and who became the attorneys. You've also got the judge of the case who had his own agenda. You've got the reporter who was sent in to write about it and who had a syndicated column. And it was all happening during the time the radio was just invented. So people were tuning in to listen to this as entertainment, all while vaudeville was dying. And the nation was all focused in on one particular thing for the first time. So everybody was just like, what's going on? I was saying, like, this is like the O.J. Simpson trial of its time. Everybody was paying attention and listening. So the more we worked on it, the more we found kind of this
vaudeville frame for the whole thing, that gets totally smashed apart in the end.
It's interesting that you said it because when you were saying that you went to the website to look up famous trials, I thought for sure that the Evelyn Nesbit, the Crime of the Century, must have been there. And when I think of that, that's a vaudeville and ragtime. But also, you also mentioned the Leopold and Loeb story, which is also a musical too by Stephen Dolgonoff called Throw Me.
So we're not the only ones to have discovered this website.
Yes, when we were pitching this idea for thesis, someone was like, "Who wants to watch a musical about a trial?" And I go, "I absolutely
A lot of
do.
people.
I absolutely do." And what was exciting for me as the composer was the different type of musical worlds that were colliding with vaudeville, jazz from the South. It's set in Dayton, Tennessee, where they had, early bluegrass, pre-bluegrass, but like this Appalachian folk music. And I was like, "What? There's so much to mine here." And what we're going to see tonight is a song that's was inspired by the jazz genre, and then a song that's more of like a more diegetic setting. But it was really exciting for me to see how do these musical worlds collide.
And similarly for the text, there was all this controversy over the trial being entertainment, as Brian was talking about. But there was a documentary made 20, 30 years ago, and what stuck with me watching that was this woman who lived in Dayton at the time as a child was saying, well, the media painted us as fanatical, and that's just not how it was. It wasn't like that here. And so part of building the show became, well, okay, what was it like for the people there? And we got to paint this really, I think, interesting dichotomy between the show of the trial and the grounded real world behind it.
So what is the
Awesome.
first song we're going to see tonight? Joe and I are going to say the same thing, like always.
Lori, I forget, am I setting this one up or are you setting it up?
You can set this one up.
Okay, so the first number that you're going to hear is the title track, Nothing to See Here. It's performed by thesis darling Jonathan Christopher, who was in the presentation of it, and has since become our muse. We write pretty much anything for his voice. And he's playing Mencken, the reporter who came to town and pretty much shaped how the nation was digesting the story. So this is his arrival to Dayton, coming off the train.
Here is Nothing to See Here.
This is H.L. Mencken riding home to the Baltimore Sun. If this train ride is anything to go by, this journey's set to be a convoluted one. What I can't quite figure out is the major players in this ring. Why are two established big cheese lawyers coming down to Dayton to do a little arguing? Tennessee, what a sleepy countryside, but every small town's got something new hide. Go watch the trial, Mencken. I hear it's nice there, Mencken. Bring us home a story, Mencken. There's nothing to write, there's nothing to say, there's nothing to see. I could write about the drugstore selling dusty bottle tonics, or about the banjo player fixing out of tune harmonics. I could write about the husbands who forget about their misses, or about the teenage lovers trading promises for kisses. There's nothing to see here, I don't know what there is for me here. This town is apple pie and fresh mud in the air. This town is people play and keep away with their home lives in the square. This town gets less and less appealing with everyone I meet. This town has radio equipment rolling down the street. Maybe this trial's going to be a bigger story than I thought. This town may have been so slightly, terribly misrepresented by a star reporter who may have recently relented. I will say the prosecutors shaking hands with the defender, and that based upon the sides they're on, one is a pretender. One of them is using the other for his goal. One of them is fighting for control. Oh, so there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
I miss clapping for performances.
Right? Jonathan Christopher is getting all the praise.
Well, he deserves it.
He is a phenom.
Always someone says,
You want Jonathan Christopher to sing all of your music.
All of it.
This is a show that feels like it's a lot of choreography. Makes me want to dance.
Well, there is a tap dancing man in a monkey suit. So, if you got the monkey suit and the tap shoes, we're ready to go.
There you go.
Because, like we were trying to talk about earlier, there's this vaudeville world that is the trial. That's their form of entertainment. We were like, what can we do to throw some weirdness into it? And so there's a man in a monkey suit that leads us around the vaudeville acts. And the opening of Act 2, he does a little tap.
Sure does.
So tell us more about your development with the show, past NYU.
So we kept writing as we were starting other shows. And we did a table read about a year and a half ago. And then there was a pandemic. But we've continued working on it, and especially revising things to be more relatable to now than they were even 2 years ago. And that includes the song you're going to see next.
Yeah, and this is a show that kind of, pun intended, has evolved about like some of it revisits a lot of the issues that we still experience in terms of very stark divides with very passionate people on either side. It kind of circling around the same issues of religion versus secularism, the state versus the people, all sorts of conservative versus liberal. And as the world ramped up into what had become 2020 and early 2021, we were like, this show is just more apropos than ever. We're going to be doing a workshop of it at Rubber City Theater's incubator program in Akron, Ohio later this year. It was scheduled for, it got pushed back because of the pandemic, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can still do that this year. And we'll see what happens,
It's all baby steps to get back to normal.
My dream. I went to a small college in the middle of Ohio that is very in love with bluegrass music. It's a rural town, very similar to Dayton, Tennessee, where this takes place. And they just built a brand new, huge performing arts space, gifted by an alum. Well, not just by him, but it's the Michael D. Eisner Center at Denison University. And my dream is to have this show put up there because it's the perfect place where these types of music clash, and it's such a great theater program. I'm like, come on, y'all, do it. So I know that some people from Denison are watching tonight. I'm like, hey,
make it happen.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
I have Michael Eisner funded.
Oh, if only.
He's
still very involved with the school. I mean, it's his building. We could say nothing to see here at the Eisner Center. It's a great building, y'all. Go see it.
We'd love to check out this next song, Stand Tall. Do we need to know anything more about it before we see it?
We should just tell you who's singing it. William Jennings Bryan and Clarence Darrow. William Jennings Bryan was the prosecutor. Clarence Darrow was defending John Scopes. And Bryan was a fundamentalist, and Darrow was a hedonist. And so they didn't see eye to eye on anything, which is why, as I mentioned before, we originally conceived this as like a love story for the two of them, and that all got relegated to one song. This is Late at Night on the Porch. It was reported that they were everyone from both sides of the trial were like hanging out and drinking moonshine on the porch at someone's house. And so we're like, well, we have to see these scenes. And so this is after one of those such evenings. And it's maybe the headiest part of the whole show, but I think it's worth bearing.
And who is singing the song?
It's William Jennings Bryan is played by Forrest Van Dyke, and Clarence Darrow is played by Jonathan Christopher.
The aforementioned.
He's so versatile. He's playing two characters tonight.
There you go. Well, here is Stan Tall.
All right. Well, look at Darwin and his theory of evolution. Do you think this wooden porch evolved from one of these oak trees?
Hardly.
Right.
A man had a son who had a son who had a seed, and who planted that seed in the earth. And his son had a son who had a son who had a tree, and who knew what that oak tree was worth. He built a house on this ground for his son
and his son,
and they planted trees all around. Man has not adapted to crossing over oceans by growing feathered wings or slicker skin. If we had evolved so, I wouldn't spend the summertime surrounded by the sweat that I'm sitting in.
Even apes make tools.
They could yet make trains. Even apes have brains
and suffer fools.
I'm not saying we haven't evolved, but that real evolution is small. The strong must be strong for us all.
And if it's on that sword you fall,
I will stand tall.
So you're saying evolution is not a naturally occurring phenomenon, but that it is performed and perpetuated by man?
No, by all God's creatures.
All creatures, weak and strong.
You're referring, of course, to social Darwinism, yes? And eugenics, all that about culling the weak from the strong.
You've hit the nail on the head, Mr. Bryan, on the very thorn in the side of this theory.
Think about the man who cries, in the end the strong survive, weaponizing words against the weak. Any man who thinks so forgets the holy scripture says the earth shall be bequeathed upon the meek.
It has always been that the small men crow,
and they hit too low,
but never win.
I'm not saying the slow win the race,
but that even the slowest will crawl. We know that the mighty will fall.
So if one man decides it's his call,
we must stand tall.
But of course we are old men. We would be two of the cold.
We'll die either way, it seems.
We will. Which is why I leave the details of my end to St. Peter.
But of course, the notions of heaven and hell are predicated on the beliefs of absolute good and absolute evil. And so we can't know the truth, absolutely.
You don't believe in good and evil?
I don't believe in absolutes. All judgment is about an action being defensible or abhorrent. Robin Hood earned as much by way of thievery as King David did by blood.
So, criminal trials are inadequate because it is the sum of a person's actions and not an isolated act that qualifies them as guilty or innocent?
That's it, exactly.
Oh, I suppose philanthropists and prisoners all have the same quantitative judgment day in the end.
Mr. Bryan, I'm trying to agree with you, if you'll let me. If you'd put your Bible down for a moment, I think you'd see we agree on many things.
Perhaps we are equally matched, after all. It's only too bad one of us must lose the fight tomorrow.
Not if the truth can win.
Truth doesn't mean as much as it used to mean when all men kept their word.
Words are just
Words need a little help, need a little push when you fight to be heard.
Fighting's the only way to be heard at all.
So fight the way fathers teach their sons when they're small.
Before fists, before kicks,
before stones, before sticks.
Speak clear and stand tall.
Stand tall.
May the better man win, and may man be better for it, bruises and all.
Like the shivers from that end.
Yeah, I love leaving lyric, bruises and all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much, Lori and Brian. And we hope to see more from the show. And if people want to know more about the show and both of you, they can go to Brian's website, which is right there.
Yep. More demos online, more info, some pictures of me.
You can get tickets to the production in Ohio soon, I hope.
Yeah, up in Akron. Here we go.
Cool. Well, thank you both so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. This was
Thank
great. Thanks
you.
for having us.
Awesome. That was a lot of fun. But now it's time to move on to our next show, The Lesson.
Yes, The Lesson has music and lyrics by Avi Amon and Nolan Doran, and a book by Defoe. The Lesson is a fantastical reimagining of a chance encounter between a revolutionary Beethoven and a more established Mozart, whose worlds and hearts collide in Vienna in 1787. The show is set in an alternate universe that melds the future and past into an entirely new queer, fun, and political space. A hybrid of theater, film, concert, dance party. The Lesson is a meditation on the purpose of artistic expression, the influence of family on who we are, and the control of information and ideas by the government. It's a lesson that will change their lives and the world forever. How about that?
Yeah, and a major emphasis on reimagining an alternate universe. And now joining us from their homes are the writers of The Lesson, Avi Amon, Nolan Doran, and Defoe. Hey there.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey,
Where's everybody
everyone.
from?
Uptown, baby. Inwood.
Brooklyn. And I am in right now I'm in Seattle.
Oh wow. You're only
so this is
person not in
it's a
New York
matinee
tonight.
for me. Yeah. This is a matinee show. I'm excited to be here.
Well,
Nolan has all the fans tonight. Yay, Nolan. Someone
Oh, there's my dad.
I was going to say that Avi's 3 hours in the past, and we're 3 hours
right.
ahead. So at least you know what the future's like.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get started. Avi, you are a Turkish-American composer, sound artist, and educator. And you're the co-writer of The Copper Children, which was presented at Oregon Shakespeare Festival, Stew at Soho Rep, The Fisherman with HBO, the Black History Museum at Here Art Center, and Salonica at Berkeley Rep. You are also a Jonathan Larson grant and New Music USA grant winner. Ty, you are from the Oneida and Ojibwe nations and are an interdisciplinary artist, actor, writer, and Grammy Award winner. You've received the Global Indigenous Heritage Festival Award, a Robert Reichenberg Artist in Residence, the Jonathan Larson Grant, and are a Translab Fellow and Cordillera International Film Festival finalist. Your work includes Red Pine, The Way They Lived. Your work includes Red Pine, The Way They Lived, Aji Jock on Turtle Island, Hear Me Say My Name, Trial and Tears, River of Stone, and Wind Changes Direction. And I'm not even listing all of them. And some of those are written by with you and the incredible Tataya Sinatoke. You are also co-founder of Indigenous Direction, a core member of All My Relations Collective. And as an actor, you're most recognized from Netflix's Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and your Broadway debut in Young Gene Lee's Straight White Men.
Yeah.
Nolan, you are a collaborative theater artist as well, a director, a writer, a producer who creates new works across theater and film, including My Eclectic Life at Here, Woody, A New Fairy Tale at Main Street Musicals, The Spectrum, and The King. You are a co-producer and assistant director for the fan favorite Broadway musical Head Over Heels, and you were the executive producer of Broadway for Biden's In Our America concert, starring over 150 Broadway artists. I'm exhausted.
Wow. Show's over.
So the three of you are certainly very inspiring, as is your collaboration on The Lesson. So Avi, Ty, and Nolan, when did you decide to collaborate together, and what inspired you to want to tell this inspired reimagining together?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start. I think like we all met at NYU Graduate Musical Theater Writing, Cycle 22. And, you know, like along with Lori, we didn't see Lori and Brian, they were after us, but
Cycle 22 person here.
Cycle 22,
Hey,
there's Marcus and Max.
Max in the house too.
And Mindy. But it was just we met there, and like we didn't work together initially. We sort of did the first year assignments. It's like Project Runway. They like, here's a project, make it happen, make it work. And you know, Avi and I did a project together. I think we did Man with Friend based off of a piece from the Met, and it was like this really cool artsy spoken word piece. And then Ty and I wrote a piece called Honor and Family with our friend Colin. And we did it downtown at the, I think it was West Village Musical Theater Factory. And anyway, we worked together, but separately. And we all loved each other individually and just never got to work together. And so eventually, many years later, I was sort of like knocking on both of their doors and like I was like, we have to work together. We have to do something. And it started with me and Avi. We sort of started working on music.
Yeah, and we like came across this like vague entry in some journal that there was a possible lesson that Mozart gave to Beethoven in 1787, and we were like, interesting, because it's like not confirmed, who knows. So Nolan and I just kind of started writing songs, like no plans to make it into a show, just were like, we had always loved working together, as he was just saying, and just kind of in the way that they make pop songs or like country records, is just like, let's just write some tunes and see what happens. And soon enough, we had this like kind of collection of songs. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, there's actually a story here, which is why we needed to bring Ty on board to make that happen.
We both shared this sort of love of pop music too, which is why I was so drawn to Avi's musical style and my own, because I sort of came from like this R&B pop background in my other life, and Avi had this sort of classical pop R&B background, like very cool and multi-ethnic background of all kinds of sounds. And that's why I think it was so fun to work together, because we could just fuse and make something new. And then we sort of came to Ty. We were like, we need somebody to actually help us tell the story, because we can't, there's no way we can do this by ourselves. We needed somebody as talented as Ty to come on board and help show us the way.
That's right.
And why this like fantastical reimagining? You didn't just tell it in a traditional way. You told it differently. Like why this way?
Well, we've been attracted to them. Like, I grew up playing their music, listening to their music. The only music I listened to in my house until I was like in high school was classical music and Turkish music. So like I had no like other background, so I was very immersed in the world. But we were kind of talking about this after learning about this lesson that they had or possibly had, and we like definitely did not want it to just be like a museum piece, which is the way we like to talk about it. Like, this is an interesting thing that happened in history. It's like, how can we take them and what they stood for back then and kind of map it onto some things in our society today, and then with the lesson in a possible future alternate universe on a different like planet in a different time altogether. And yeah, that really allowed us to open things up and kind of leave the baggage of history behind.
Yeah.
Ty, you were kind of the last piece of this puzzle. Why did you want to join this project? Why was the story exciting for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was just about to chime in too. And I said, well, not only are Avi and Nolan like some of the most styling individuals that I know, We coordinated our outfits today, clearly wearing flannel, comfy clothes in the virtuals to present today. Silent individuals, but just wanted to note that we all share a diverse and global and queer type of background that are bound together for quest for innovation. So innovation is the key of creating infinite possibilities. We're talking a lot about thinking outside of the box, thinking outside of binaries that, oftentimes theater and sometimes even musical theater presents itself to us. So, I come from an indigenous folk music, stories of sovereignty, and I love colliding and clashing worlds together, like knitting and metal or science and spirit. Like, how do those two things go together? Let's try and figure it out. And Nolan, as he mentioned, he's like tech loving theater performer, R&B, pop music background, and definitely Avi, composer, sound artist, collaborating across genres and boundaries. And we're like, let's mix it up, put it all together, put these songs in a pot or a casserole, because I grew up in northern Wisconsin, we say casserole. Let's see what we get. Like in terms of dramatizing the story, let's stir it up, honey, right? And queer space. Like, what does it mean to decolonize in queer space? And so that's where I come in to talk a little bit about the story and what we're about to see. But I also want to say and add in, we also all nerd out and have a love for technology and sci-fi.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep.
Huge part of this piece.
Totally. Well, before we dive into the show, can you tell us more about the development of the show? I know this isn't the first time your theater barn has been involved.
No, it's like, I think I was doing a show with Shiloh Gooden, and I think I'm pronouncing her last name right, but Shiloh Gooden, a dear, incredible person and wonderful choreographer, director, and she was like, I've got this opportunity to choreograph something, and I was like, we've got some songs, and she was like, oh my God. And so we had this song called Young Boy, which was, I think, the first song we ever wrote. I believe first or second song we ever wrote for the show. We didn't know really what it was about, but it was sort of the only way in for me personally about like, how do I write about these prolific artists? I'm like, there's no way I can top them or write about them in any way that's meaningful, but I had to think about their history. They both shared this experience of same fathers that were sort of overbearing, very like stage fathers, if you will. And we started to think about that. And that's where this song called Young Boy came from.
And here is a clip from the lab. Let's take a look.
Sacrifices everything. Sacrifices everything. Now I play in these roles from a childhood incomplete. Who was he to decide what we what alright? All I need is a song to rewrite all the wrong in time. My mind we say, yes, I gotta be like a young boy. It's my life, boy, or I'll die. Sacrifices everything. Yes, I wanna be like a young boy. It's my life. Sacrifices everything. So we gotta be like young boys, or we'll die. Sacrifices everything.
Yeah.
Thank you for making that cut together.
And Aaron Lamar, the singer, he's incredible. The dancer singer who was featured as the young Beethoven. Props to him.
Yay. And then I know the show has since been in the Dramatist Guild Foundation.
That's right.
Yes,
we just wrapped that year up, actually.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience to work with the Dramatist Guild Foundation. And it was a dream, I think, just a dream come true to do that. So we're grateful for them.
Well, your first song tonight is called Motherfucker. And what's funny is Jen was loading the last one in tonight, and she was like, well, I'm loading in Motherfucker. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that sounds good. Thanks for letting me know about Motherfucker. I can't wait to see Motherfucker tonight. So tell us
Here
about
at your theater barn, we're fine with all the words.
And this is your disclaimer now. Like, if you're sensitive to cuss words or anything, please leave now for about 5 minutes.
This is true, but it's our way of like decolonizing language, the English language. So
that's right. That's right.
Like, yes.
So watch. Don't tune out. Thank you.
Don't tune out. Watch
Don't tune out. Watch this stuff.
So Motherfucker seems like an awesome song. So tell us about Motherfucker. I can't say it enough.
Yeah, I know. Me too. So Motherfucker is the opening of the show, and you enter this world of Beethoven and Mozart and BJ, Bishop Joseph. And I guess you quickly learn that there's a socioeconomic divide in the show between the high court and the low court. And Beethoven is fighting with his father. Mozart is fighting with Bishop Joseph, his boss, and because of his new commission, the magic flute. And so we learn about queer love, a triangle that exists, people wanting to get things, if you will. And Motherfucker's a song that also sings about irreverent attitudes towards a type of hierarchy who dictate what art should be. And so in the performance, you're going to be seeing Milo Alosi, Bradley Dean, and Heath Saunders. So Nolan, Avi, you want to talk a little bit about the sound?
Well, this is a song that Nolan and I just kind of started writing honestly as a joke, but then we're like, oh, maybe this is good.
Yeah.
And we just kind of fleshed it out a little bit from that. We sampled, Nolan, what's the name of the symphony that we sampled for this one? It's a Beethoven symphony, or is it a Mozart symphony?
We sampled a bunch of, we basically synthesized a lot of their music to sort of just come up with a sound that was R&B and pop, but sort of felt like their music, but also had some of the DNA of it, but also felt new and fresh. And it really was a response to, like Ty said, like I was just pissed off at personally. I was mad at like a lot of no's and a lot of people telling you what you need to do in the art world. And I think it was wonderful to just write about it and just be like, yeah. And especially like putting it through the lens of Mozart and Beethoven, like how would they react if they were given these constraints?
So without any other further ado, here is Motherfucker.
No, fuck you, drink. I pay for you. Fuck, that hurt.
Fuck you. Come here, sexy. And suck my dick. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Suck it like it's your magic flute. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
These motherfuckers won't leave me alone. That motherfucker won't leave me alone. Those motherfuckers, these motherfuckers won't leave me alone. They tell me to write a masterpiece as soon as I start, knock, knock. But the marks that they give won't pay the least. You're over a barrel, in peril, and selling your soul.
18 years old, Pa calls the shots. I open my mouth, stop. Trapped in a cage and feeling caught. He's on patrol.
These motherfuckers won't leave me alone. That motherfucker won't leave me alone. Those motherfuckers, these motherfuckers won't leave me alone. They sit on their throne and call it art, but I'm bored as shit, la 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 la. They can all lick me in the arse. Want me to write what you want, I will walk out the door.
That shit he gives will come around. The battles we fought, pop, hey. Won't give a thought when he's in the ground. I'm destined for more.
These motherfuckers won't leave me alone. That motherfucker won't leave me alone. These motherfuckers won't leave me alone. These motherfuckers won't leave me alone. That motherfucker won't leave me alone. If my words offend, well, I don't have another. Motherfucker won't leave me alone.
motherfucker won't leave me alone. Those motherfuckers, these motherfuckers won't leave me alone. Motherfuckers won't leave me alone. He's a motherfucker, they're a motherfucker. I don't wanna hear another word you utter. Every word I said I meant, I didn't stutter. Motherfucker, just leave me alone.
I want to give a quick shout out. We worked with an amazing orchestrator named Bruce Coughlin on that track. Everybody knows who Bruce Coughlin is, but
So good.
really knocked it out of the park for that tune.
People who don't know, he is the Tony Award-winning orchestrator of The Light in the Piazza, among other amazing things.
Never heard of
And
it.
truly like instrumental in helping us sort of create this sound that you hear. He was such a champion for us, and couldn't be more grateful to him.
Yeah.
Someone says if Beethoven and Mozart were alive today, this would be their anthem. I agree.
Oh yes, indeed.
All right. Well, we'd love to know more about the second song, which is called Shit Because of You. I'm just kidding. It's called Because of You.
I love it, Joe. Oh my goodness. You all, this next song, yeah, it's called Because of You, and we want to give a shout out to this next performer too, Heath Saunders, who some of you may know from the Big Bad Broadway, right? Heath, come on.
Yes.
He's also a friend of New York Theater Barn. We had him and his mother on back in like June, Joe?
Oh, right. Very talented writer as well.
Whole Saunders family.
Talented writer, just so talented all around. But so during the show, Heath, who is performing this next piece called Because of You, Beethoven wanted nothing more to meet his idol, Beethoven. So when they finally clash about radical ideas, about sort of like what art freedom are, or freedom of expression rather, Mozart is sort of old school, and he's a craftsman, and he's sort of working for the church and working for BJ. So some of his politics are in question, but it's clear right before this piece that Beethoven and Mozart have sexy time. Of course, they fall in love. That allows them to learning about one another's politics after they sleep with each other, and then learning about this great wall that divides actually Vienna old and Vienna new. But Beethoven's friends are the have-nots, the artists, and Mozart's, right, are people of the high court. And so I think this next song talks a little bit about, when your heart goes pitter-patter with your moral code versus something trying to, I guess, climb the ladder. And so Mozart is sort of tested with all of his feelings. They get in a large fight, and Mozart is there on the wall that's being constructed, looking out over Vienna, who Mozart is very, very heartbroken in this moment. So
this one is a play on Mozart's Sonata in C. We actually do know this song,
We know
and
that.
everybody knows the beginning of this song, but really attractive chord changes here, and we just kind of like take it back to this like 80s throwback vibe. And oh yeah, our last video and this video, thanks so much to our director Zoe Martinson, who like made these incredible videos, and thanks to the Dramatist Guild Foundation.
Yes.
And
just
yeah,
incredible.
really, this is a magic thing to watch Heath perform.
And done over quarantine too.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
Wow.
Quarantine. Oof.
So here is Because of You.
Feel that wind? Beethoven? Come on, baby, what's up? Nothing. Look. Isn't this beautiful? No, it isn't. I don't believe in walls. Well, neither do I, but... Look, getting money and making art is complicated. It's not that complicated. It takes sacrifice. It's a business. No! It's art! Mozart. I once believed in what you had to say. It's why I make music. Why I care about what happens with this wall, with the people, those people, my friends, those artists. I was starting to feel something really for you. But wake up! The world is going to leave you behind if you don't. And I can't be a part of that. I won't.
safer on the ground, safer on the ground. I know what's true. Yeah, the future is heavy. Oh, when you speak, it's lightning. Constellations igniting. I'm awake, I saw there. What I knew now is broken. So I'm looking all around because of you. Because of you. Watch where you're walking now, steady. You gotta keep it on the ground, keep it on the ground. I love you, I love you. And I found it already. It's funny how a change of you can make you see the world anew. Only shades of gray till you came through. Now we're sharing the same color blue. And I feel it all around because of you. Earth moves beneath me, I'm steady. And I'm floating off the ground, floating off the ground. Look at the view. Never knew I was ready. And I'm spinning all around, spinning all around, spinning all around because of you. No more looking all around, looking all around, looking all around because of you. And I feel it all around, feel it all around, feel it all around because of you. Now everything is new, everything is new, everything is new because of you. I'm awake, eyes open. What I knew now is broken.
I'm watching Brian Blackley watch this from his home and our backstage, and his reaction was the only one I care about. I'm also going to ask, I'm going to call out the other last team. Lori just asked a great question in our private chat. You know, when this is eventually live, do you see this with a full ensemble? Do you see this tracked with vocalists that are present? That's so interesting to me.
Yeah. Ty, I liked your answer.
Yeah, I was like, it's kind of like this like postmodern world, like queering space of Blade Runner that, you know, of like technology and holograms and VR. So like, it's truly, I think, you know, coming on board with this team too, we talked a lot about reimagining this new world and how it finds us or how we find it, mixed in together with an old world type feel. But since we're in COVID, what a perfect time to explore that. Like, what does a text message mean? So interesting.
And just like reinventing technology that was like, if it was back then, what if it had progressed to a different time, what would that text look like? What would that be like? You know, it wouldn't be obviously what we know today, but it would be interesting. And just thinking through those types of technological questions has sort of been a lot of fun.
Totally.
Yeah, we had a lot of questions about like what would, you know, what back when Scruff and these, you know, apps didn't happen. Like you couldn't even imagine what they were, but like imagining what's in the future is so exciting to invent what's to be.
My mother says, any plans for a cast recording? Wow, Mom, are you going to produce it?
Yes. Yeah.
Ty, I like what you said about, you know, it's a great time to explore the digital platform. And I think that, you know, we can look at this pandemic and this time, you know, as, you know, really painful, but also a really an incredible learning tool. We like to say limitation is creation. There's like new systems that are being evolved and created because old ones are being taken away. And, you know, the reality is if we were presenting the show right now as a concert, you know, we might not be able to serve the sound and the visual aesthetic that we were just able to present here for you. So in a way, it's almost better right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
It's definitely calling into like, I'm sorry, Jen.
You go. No, you go.
Definitely calling into question like lots of as what Ty was just mentioning, like the way we do theater and why we have lots at our disposal, and this pandemic has definitely brought a lot of that into focus. So it'll be interesting to see how things meld and merge and evolve in a post-world, whatever that means.
Yeah, and I think it's also important. Like, I think another thing we talk about too is like access, right? Like, theater was such a, it's a beautiful art form, but how do people access it, and especially the digital age, and like how is it limited by people with money? If you can't afford to see it, if you can't afford a ticket, do you get to see this art? And so hopefully there's a world where this type of art can be seen and accessed by many, many more people, especially like what you're doing with this series. Like, how can we get our message out and make sure people are inspired and able to do it, and not like bound by financial constraints?
Yeah, and I think we're finally seeing that, with Come From Away filming now and all these other shows. And I think it's a small step. And I mean, it's sad it took this long, and I wonder what that's going to do for everything else.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's another show.
Well, thank you all so much for being with us tonight, and for giving us the lesson of the lesson. We look forward to hearing from and seeing more from it. And so, yeah, you motherfuckers, don't leave us alone.
I gotta give a shout out to Kate too. Kate, who did our graphics. Thank you, Kate Freer.
Yes, Kate Freer, Heath Saunders, Maya Losi, Bradley Dean, Zoe Martinson, Dramatist Guild Fellow, and of course Shiloh Gooden, who did the choreography. So shout out to those motherfuckers.
Yes.
That were fucking awesome.
Yeah, totally.
So amazing. Thank you.
All right, motherfuckers, we'll see you soon.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Good night. Bye-bye.
What a great group of motherfuckers.
Right. And they all went to NYU.
Well, that's our show for tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Wednesday, February 17th at 7 p.m. with the new musicals House Rules and Little Miss Perfect.
Yes, House Rules is written by Kate Leonard and Daniel Mertzleft, and Little Miss Perfect is written by Jariah Kwame and Lauren Gunderson.
We're also thrilled to announce that on Wednesday, February 24th, we'll be presenting a special edition of our programming in celebration of Black History Month.
It's true. We'll be featuring the groundbreaking new musical Freedom Riders. The night will boast a conversation with the writers, our friends Taryn Gray and Richard Allen, performances from the show, and some exciting special guests. So you don't want to miss it. And we'll have more information out about that soon.
And additionally, the evening will commemorate the 60th anniversary of the Freedom Riders.
Yeah.
So in some respect, it feels like a long time, but it really was not that long ago that, things like this were happening. It takes an incredible amount of work to make tonight's show happen. And in order to continue to lift up artists and original musicals, we really need your help. Please join our generous donors by making your gift today on our website at nytheaterbarn.org/give. As we said, you can also donate quickly by text to us or to Kelly Clarkson, 631-710-NYTB. That's 631-710-6982. Those details also follow below in the video description.
Again, that link to vote for Fantasia or donate to our program is nytheaterbarn.org/give or 631-712-NYTB, or those last four digits, which are 6982. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you for supporting live theater.
Thank you, motherfuckers. Clay Aiken, Ruben Sutter. Good night.
Good night.
Because of New York Theater Barn, we were able to share Half the Sky with audiences across the globe. Now New York Theater Barn is going even further, expanding their programming to connect theater artists of all disciplines, including choreographers, dancers, actors, directors, and writers like us, in labs and concerts that blend virtual and in-person formats. Your support nurtures the musical theater art form in this time of great need.
And it just proves how important organizations like New York Theater Barn are, not just during this time, but all the time, for emerging artists, young artists, and new and exciting projects. And this is the way that we move the world and the art world forward, is by organizations like New York Theater Barn.
So I hope you are very generous with giving to Theater Barn, and they've been so generous to generations now of writers.